like to call the meeting to order. So, Commissioner Milas, will you lead us in the flag salute? Hey, can we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Midgley.
Present.
Commissioner Milas.
Here.
Commissioner Rustaller.
Here.
Commissioner Grunsky. Absent. And Commissioner Sangha. Is absent.
All right, we do have a quorum, so we'll continue. We'll go with the approval of minutes, please. Someone make a motion?
I'll make a motion. Go ahead.
Been moved and seconded. We approve the minutes from 4/20/23, 9/7/23, 11/2/23, and 11/16/23. Please take the vote.
Commissioner Milas.
Yes.
Commissioner Rustaller.
Yes?
Commissioner Midgley.
All right, are there any changes to the agenda?
No, we don't have any changes.
Okay. So at this time, we have a public comment. So any item that's not on the agenda, you may come forward and speak at this time. That's the abbreviated version of how we do this. Seeing none, we'll go to our first public hearing on the agenda item number 1. So will the applicant like to come forward?
No.
Oops, see, I blew it already. Staff's report is first.
I have Associate Planner Michaela Miller here to provide a presentation.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. This project is a variance to reduce the minimum required parcel size and lot width in the general agriculture 40-acre minimum zone. The underlying project is a minor subdivision to subdivide an existing 8.76 acre parcel into 4 parcels, all a minimum of 2 acres in size. The 8.76 acre project site has a general plan designation and zoning of general agriculture and rural residential. The project site is partially located within the rural community of Vernales on the east side of South Welty Road, approximately 400 feet north of South Ahern Road, southeast of Tracy. This is the revised site plan and tentative map submitted by the applicant, depicting the proposed parcels, which are reduced from 40 acres to 2.05, 2.59, and 2.08 acres. The applicant is also requesting to reduce the width of the parcels from 330 feet to 325.13, 254.96, 155, and 230 feet. The parcels will be served by private water, stormwater, and sewer systems. Parcel A has direct access to South Welty Road. Access to the remaining parcels will be provided by a private access road across Parcel A. An irrigation easement is proposed for the benefit of the West Stanislaus Irrigation District along the south and east property lines. In 2023, a lot line adjustment was approved that maintained the historical dual zoning of the area. The applicant submitted a variance application to reduce the minimum lot size and lot width to facilitate a minor subdivision. If approved, the parcels will remain dual zoned after the subdivision. Staff received a letter from the Sierra Club in agreement with staff's recommendation to deny the variance. In order to approve the variance and minor subdivision, several findings must be made in the affirmative. Staff recommends that variance findings numbers 1 and 3 and minor subdivision findings number 1 and 2 cannot be made in the affirmative, as described in the following slides and in the staff report. Variance findings number 1 states that because the special circumstances applicable to the property, including size, shape, topography, location, or surroundings, the strict application of the regulation deprives the property of the privileges enjoyed by other properties in the vicinity and under identical zoning classification. The applicant states that since the Bogetti family farms hundreds of acres in Vernales, it is essential that they reside adjacent to their farmlands, office, and repair shops. This finding cannot be made since the parcel has no special circumstances that would deprive it of privileges enjoyed by other properties in the vicinity and in the AG 40 zone. The property is permitted one single-family residence, one accessory dwelling unit, one junior accessory dwelling unit, and up to 12 farm employee houses without discretionary approval. Denial of this variance would not constitute a finding of deprivation. Variance finding number 3 states that the granting of this variance will not constitute a granting of special privileges inconsistent with the limitations upon other properties in the vicinity and zone in which the property is situated. The applicant states that the granting of this variance will not give any special privilege to anyone. Variance finding number 3 cannot be made since the granting of this variance will constitute a granting of special privileges to the applicant inconsistent with the limitations upon other properties in the vicinity and in the general agriculture 40-acre minimum zone. Surrounding property owners within the vicinity and with the same zoning classification are not permitted to subdivide parcels to less than 40 acres unless a specific development title exemption applies. The underlying subdivision as proposed does not meet any of these expectations. Minor subdivision finding number 1 states that the subdivision is consistent with the general plan, specific plan, special purpose plan, master plan, development title, or any other applicable plans or provisions of the county code. This finding cannot be made because the proposed minor subdivision is not consistent with the general plan or development title. The general agriculture 40-acre minimum zone portion of the parcel that implements the general plan designation does not meet the minimum requirements to be subdivided, as it is already less than 40 acres and would create more parcels smaller in size. Additionally, the proposed parcels would be narrower than the minimum required lot width of 330 feet. Minor subdivision finding number 2 states that the site is physically suitable for the type of development and the proposed density. This finding cannot be made because the minor subdivision does not meet the minimum lot size for the parcels in the general agriculture 40-acre minimum zone and would exceed the density requirements for the general agricultural general plan designated portion of the site. This is a photo taken looking easternly towards the property where proposed parcel A and the proposed access driveway would be located. It is recommended that the Planning Commission deny the variance and minor subdivision due to the inability to make the required findings included on this slide and in the staff report. Alternatively, if the Planning Commission chooses to approve the projects, staff recommends providing various findings numbers 1 and 3 and minor subdivision findings number 1 and 2 made in the affirmative along with the adoption of the mitigated negative declaration, the mitigation monitoring and reporting plan, and the approval of the conditions of approval contained in the staff report. Thank you. This concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you. Do any of the commissioners have questions? Okay, so this time we'll hear from the applicant. Please state your name and address when you get up to the podium there, sir.
It takes me a while, not as fast as I used to be.
Yeah, neither am I, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Don Moyer. I am the applicant. You know, it's funny, the history of this project. I went to work for the Board of Supervisors in 1978 as an assistant to one of the county supervisors in the 5th District. And back then, they used to say that agriculture is the most important industry in San Joaquin County. And I believe that San Joaquin County has consistently maintained that position, that agriculture is in fact the most important industry in San Joaquin County. I think everybody pretty well agrees with that. I have known the Bogetti family for over 60 years. They farm in that area. At present, they own about 1,500 acres on both sides of the county line. They've got about 800 acres in San Joaquin County and 700 or 800 acres in Stanislaus County. And they have been farming out there on that ground since the 1930s, close to 100 years now. And that's all they do is farm. They don't do anything else. They're not in the welding business, not in the trucking business. They don't do anything else. They just farm. And I think Michaela can tell you, she went out and examined the site the other day. On the San Joaquin County side of the line, they got about 750 acres, something like that. They have almonds, walnuts, and palm trees. And I asked Mike Pagetti, I said, Mike, what are you doing with palm trees? I think he's got 20 acres of palm trees. He says, I don't know. He says, I'll figure out somebody who wants to buy palm trees eventually. So he's growing 20 acres of palm trees in addition to the almonds and walnuts. They've got their own hullers out there, and they have been processing nuts. They have been farming to the east. There's a ranch called the Coddington Ranch. It's right where the Stanislaus River runs into the San Joaquin River. The fishermen call it Sturgeon Bend. It's a kind of a famous fishing hole. They used to lease the Coddington Ranch, which was 1,200 acres. And the Bajettis regularly lease additional grounds that they don't own, but they lease and farm. So they farm, I'm guessing, probably 3,000 acres in San Joaquin and Stanislaus County. And that's all they do is farm. And my two clients are Albert Jr. and Mike, and they are the third generation, and each of those fellows has 2 children, and each of those 4 children want to come into the farming business with their parents, one generation after another after another. This will be the 4th generation of Bogettis living on and farming that property. And the findings, if you look at those findings that the staff could not make, the special circumstances, if you look at the observations that I put in there, the whole, I'm searching for the right word here, the whole reason for being for the agricultural zoning is to preserve agriculture. And that is exactly what these guys are doing. Some farmers live in town. When I grew up in Tracy, I lived across the street from a guy named Yamasaki, and they lived in town, and they lived in a city house, and they farmed right out in the same area, in the Vernalis area. But the Bogettis find it better. They're closer to their farm. They're right on the land. If something goes wrong, they can be there in a heartbeat and fix a broken pipeline or a broken pump, or so if a car knocks down a power pole, they can do some splices on the power line. They find it better for their farming purposes to be on the property that they're farming. Now, you have an ordinance that allows for a 2-acre home site, or a home site is defined as between 2 and 5 acres. But you have an ordinance that allows for a home site to be cut from any parcel that's 40 acres or greater. And there's some criteria that you have to meet, and Jennifer knows what those are. You have to have owned it for 10 years, and you can't sell it for 10 more years, and some other criteria like that. And they could readily put a 2-acre parcel here and a 2-acre parcel there, and another 2-acre parcel on another road a half mile away, and they could do that, but they would prefer to cluster their homes together in one neighborhood so they're right close to each other. And to me, it just makes good sense. And what you will be doing by granting this variance request and granting this subdivision map is facilitating the general plan goal of continuing agriculture in this county for the next 100 years. Does anybody have any questions? All righty, hearing none, I'll shut up. Thank you.
Thank you.
If there's any opposition, I'd like the ability to respond.
Oh, absolutely.
I hope that there won't be, but you never know. Thank you.
Well, I'm looking over the room, I'm not sure. All right, at this time, are there anybody else who would like to speak in favor of this item? Is there anyone who would like to speak against this item? All right, I'm going to close the public hearing. There'll be no rebuttal because there's nothing to rebut. And I'm going to bring it back to the commission to discuss.
I really don't see that you met findings 1 and 3, number 1 and 3. I don't see this special circumstance.
Would you like me to respond?
Yeah, you could, she asked a question, so yes, you may.
As you undoubtedly know, every piece of property is unique. And in anticipation of this proposal that you have before you tonight, we did a lot line adjustment. It took us about 18 months. The engineering firm had some internal problems. But we did a lot line adjustment to create this parcel, which I think is 9 acres and a fraction. It's 9 point something acres. So that each parcel could meet the minimum 2 acre gross minimum that you require. So the special circumstances here are that this is the only parcel in San Joaquin County and possibly in the entire San Joaquin Valley that 9 point something acres and is 54 feet above sea level. There is no other parcel like it. So it clearly meets the requirements for special circumstances. And number 3, I've got a note here somewhere. Number 3 is, that it's not, that it grants that it is consistent with the general plan, is that right? Let me see here. Let me go back to my staff report and open up my, all right, we can do this. Number 3, nope. Okay. Does not grant a special privilege. It does not grant a special privilege because if there were any other property or any other persons owning a property of this size and shape and elevation, they could be granted the very same requirements. And the reason that the Bugetti family chose to do it this way is they want to take as little farmland out of production as possible and keep it clustered so they have a family cluster right there in the county line. In fact, Mike's really funny. His mailbox is in San Joaquin County, but his house that you're coming down the road is in Stanislaus County. And so he gets jury duty notices from San Joaquin County. He says, I don't live in San Joaquin County. So he doesn't get called for jury duty. And Stanislaus County doesn't know he exists. So anyway, it's kind of a cool thing. But they wanted to cluster those uses together for the benefit of their agricultural operation. That's what they're all about. They've been about agriculture for close to 100 years, and they want to do it for the next 100 years. So I think it meets the requirements if you put your mind to it. Any
Okay.
other questions?
No? Anybody? No, thanks.
All righty, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. You have anything you want to ask or say? No. Okay. Well, I will then entertain a motion at this time. Anybody willing to make a motion on this item? Is it for or against?
I make a motion that we deny because they haven't met findings number 1 and 3.
And 1 and 2 for the minor subdivision finding, correct? Okay, is there a second? I'll second it. Call for the vote.
Commissioner Midgley,
Yes.
Commissioner Milas,
Yes.
Commissioner Roostaller.
Yes. The item is denied. You have a right to appeal, which the staff will tell you how to go about doing that at this time. All right, we're going to go on to item number 2.
Okay, again, I have Associate Planner Michaela Miller here to provide a presentation.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. The proposed project is a conditional use permit for construction of an unmanned 130-foot-tall telecommunications tower within a 1,120 square foot lease area in an unfarmed portion of the parcel. The 180-acre project site has a general plan designation of open space resource conservation and general agriculture, and a zoning designation of general agriculture. The property is located in the Delta along a private access road approximately 7,400 feet southwest of West 8 Mile Road, 6,400 feet west of North Atherton Road, west of the city of Stockton. This is the revised site plan submitted by the applicant. The tower meets the required setbacks from the property lines, natural bank, and existing riparian habitat. In 2003, the property owner placed the parcel under a farmland security zone contract, which is a 20-year Williamson Act contract. Typically, this project would be processed at the staff level. However, since the site is under a Williamson Act contract, the development title requires the tower is reviewed by the Planning Commission. As part of the conditional use permit, the applicant is requesting an 8-foot tall chain link fence with slats and 1 foot of barbed wire around the lease area to prevent theft and secure the area. Barbed wire may only be allowed to secure a wireless facility if the need significantly outweighs the potential danger to the public. Staff recommends that, due to the location of the site, barbed wire be permitted as included in the recommended conditions of approval. Agency response letters were received from the Delta Protection Commission and the San Joaquin Farm Bureau Federation regarding the aesthetics, land use compatibility, and safety and lighting. The tower will be camouflaged with paint to remove the glare and blend into the area. The tower is also compatible with the surrounding farmland because the site is within an existing disturbed area near the irrigation canal that is not currently farmed. Additionally, the telecommunication facility will be required to meet all requirements of the Federal Aviation Administration pertaining to safety and lighting. In order to approve a conditional use permit, several findings must be made. Additional findings are required because the property is under a farmland security zone contract. These findings are attached to the staff report, and staff recommends that all findings can be made in the affirmative. The figures depict the existing coverage area and gaps and the proposed Verizon coverage area after installing the tower. This is a photo of the existing private access road utilized for the agricultural operations. The applicant is proposing to use this access for the telecommunications site as well. This photo depicts the proposed project site. It is recommended that the Planning Commission approve the project with the recommendations shown on this slide and included in the staff report. Thank you. This concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you. Any questions from commissioners? Okay, so this time I'll open up the public hearing, and I'd like to hear from the applicant if they're here.
Just my clicker. Oh, that, okay. Hello, Mr. Commissioner and fellow commissioners. My name is Steve Christensen. I reside at 5122 Greg Way in Auburn, California. I want to thank staff very much for their presentation and how you've taken the time to work with us to get through this process. I'm going to get... So that we've started this, I put this timeline together to get an idea as to, we've been working on this since March. That was the pre-application that we came and took to staff. We also had some questions for them that came back to us that we revised. We also found out that we needed to do this on the online system. We did that in May of this year. We got the fees assessed in June of this year. We deemed the application complete in July of this year. We've gone through the neighborhood and all the agencies, making sure that everyone's been noticed on this appropriately. We're here tonight asking for an approval of this application. The facility's 130-foot monopole. As you see, we're building this as a co-locatable structure for future carriers. We have a microwave dish that'll be mounted at 80 feet. That's the backhaul that we need to be able to make this join to our network. There's no fiber out there on the islands, so we need a microwave dish to do this. This is on an elevated platform. Being that it's in the delta and in the water, we're also raising our platform up to 9 feet so that we meet all FEMA and we make all the requirements of the flood agency. This is the parcel as you see from 8 Mile Road. On the left, you see nothing. On the right, it's about a mile away and it's taken from 8 Mile Road. This is, as you saw in the earlier presentation, this is some storage facilities that the farm has. That is a fence that we have around the compound. There's, I said before, a 3-foot above grade to meet our water requirements, 9-foot platform above it. So we're off the ground quite a way so that we meet all conditions. This is the coverage gap is what we're trying to cover, gap along for boaters in the waterways, some rural roads. Right now, there is no coverage, and you'll see on the left, you'll see the proposed location of San Juan Islands. Everything that's brown there is marginal coverage. You go to the right picture after, and you'll see that you have excellent in-building, not that it matters, but in-building coverage, and will allow your waterways to be protected as well as some rural roads. We had alternatives that we reviewed. Those are 4 other farms that we went to, but we had RF tell us that we could not go lower than the 130 feet to cover this facility. We did look at the Pac Bell AT&T that does the height that we had offered by that AT&T was too low to meet our objective. It was down about 80 feet, and we could not meet our coverage objective by going to that AT&T facility. We tried to negotiate with some of the other farmers. There was not interest in some, and that's the 4 alternatives we came up with. This does meet the requirements of the Williamson Act, which is what we had some challenges with earlier. The tower does not require removal or any interference on the farmlands in the proposed area and does not disturb anything near the canal. There's periodic maintenance. It's usually once the facility is built, we're there every quarter to make sure that generators and everything function so that we can always maintain that site. We will paint this tower brown or whatever color you want, but it looks like they want it tan, kind of fill in with the farmland. It's consistent with the general plan and the AG plan. It's an unmanned facility. We're not using any water or septic. It's an unmanned facility. We meet all FAA setbacks. We make all FCC environmental concerns and obviously Army Corps. That's why we have everything raised. The new facility is reliable for farmers and again, the boaters that are in the Delta. It will enhance our service in the area for all, and it complies with all county requirements. Is there any questions that you may have?
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? No? We have none?
Cool.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody who would like to speak in favor of this item? Anyone who would like to speak against this item? All right, seeing none, there will be no point in rebuttal. This hearing, public hearing is closed, and now I'll bring it back to the commission to discuss. Seeing there's no discussion, I will ask for someone to make a motion.
I'll motion we accept item number 226.
Do we have a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded that we accept the recommendation to approve the findings of the Williamson Act principal and compatibility and conditional use permit for PA 2400 226, and approve the condition of approval of conditional use permit for PA 240026 with attachment H. And I will now call for the vote.
Commissioner Milas,
Yes.
Commissioner Midgley, Commissioner Rustaller.
Yes. Motion carries. And that takes us to, you'll get this one of these days. Oh, Planning Commission, Commissioners' comments. We have a very chatty group tonight. We'll go to Director's Report.
Thank you, Chair. Well, first, I guess I want to say, it appears this is our last meeting of the year since we do not have any items scheduled for the December meeting. I don't know if Commissioner Midgley will be at our meeting in January, so I just want to say, in case you're not, that we have really enjoyed your commitment to the commission and really valued your opinions over the years. You've been on for, I think, 8 years, right? The whole time. So we will miss you if you don't come back, which everything is kind of up in the air right now. So I just wanted to say that. The other two commissioners are stuck with us still, so we will see you next year. I wanted to give a quick update. We just had 4 items that went to the board at the last meeting, just last week. And they were all for general plan and general plan zone reclassifications and then 1 appeal. So I thought I'd just update you on that. One goes way back. It was for Mr. Holfman. That one goes way back to a rural residential subdivision near Manteca. And that one already had been approved by the board, but it was a formality. We had to go back one more time to get final approval. One was the gas station fast food at Liberty in 99. That one was approved by the board. The project for truck parking, RV parking, general plan amendment to industrial on Woodbridge Road in 99, that was also approved. And global carriers, which was the item that you guys probably recall, went for quite some time for the truck parking facility on Highway 120. You had denied that project. It got appealed to the board, and the board did approve that project. So I just wanted you to have final closure on the projects that you had taken action on previously. And other than that, happy holidays. I don't really have anything else to report. Thank you.
Well, before I adjourn, I just want to also say it's been a pleasure to be on. I've been on the commission for, what, 4 years?
Yeah.
2, going on second, yeah, about 4 years.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate your tutelage. I'm going to say you try to learn this job. And a person who may not also be here is James Grunsky. Even though he's not here tonight, I want to say how much it has been a pleasure to serve with him, but also all the expertise that he has brought over the years. I believe he's been on it for 8 years as well. Is that correct? Or was it longer than that?
Maybe 7 years.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe 7 years.
And, you know, they say things go around. I went to high school with his father, so I think of him as his son. Not really. But he is a great guy, and I hope to see him here one more time, and you as well. But as you say, we don't know what's going to happen after the new board of supervisors are sworn in, so they get to choose. And I also want to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving and the merriest of Christmases and the happiest of Hanukkahs and any other celebration that we have during this period. It's a wonderful time of the year, and I wish you all the best. Anyone else want to make comment?
I'd like to say thank you to everyone. Enjoyed it. It's been a very positive experience for me. I really wanted to do this when I was younger, but I'm glad I got the opportunity, and I really enjoyed it, and I'll miss all you guys. And Merry Christmas.
Yes. So, with that, I'm going to adjourn the meeting.